Hello, and thanks for tuning in to Beach Woodcraft again. Today we've got what I hope will be an exciting, and if not, at least pretty interesting topic. We're going to change out the straight knife cutter in this Grizzly 8-inch jointer and install a helical cutter head that just came in from mywoodcutters.com. And a couple of things I'm going to do is I'm going to record the sound levels before and after, and I'm going to take a few passes before and after of this rough sawn poplar board and let you all look at that and see how they compare and go from there. So I'm going to get started, get my sound. I've got an app called DB Sound Meter on my little tablet here, which is going to at least give us a relative sound level. I can't vouch for how accurate the readings are, but we'll get a before and after reading anyway and compare. I'm hoping that the after reading is quieter. We'll see. So we're going to get set up. Open up the dust port. And as you can see, I've got the guard off. This board is a little bit wider than 8 inches, and I really don't want to cut it down. So whenever you do something like this, make sure you keep your hands as far away as you can. And want to keep all 10 of those fingers. The other thing I've done is I've positioned this tablet 36 inches from the center of the cutter, and I'm probably going to have to move things around while I take the jointer apart and replace the cutter head. So I'm going to do my best to get everything back in the same relative position and distance and all that kind of thing. And of course the sound app turned off for some reason. If anybody knows of a sound app that they like better than DB Sound Meter, I'd be interested to know what that is. I looked at a couple different ones and I chose this one for whatever reason. So 36 inches is right about there. And while I'm not talking, the background sound level is about 50 to 54 dB. It bounces around a bit. While I am speaking, it's as much as 85, 87 dB. And that's just an average speaking voice. I can't imagine what it's going to do when I turn the jointer on. It looks like it maxes out at 100, but maybe the scale will go higher when the sound level is higher. Again, we'll see. I'm going to take a couple passes, and then we'll take a look at the board, and I'll get started taking the jointer apart. Turn on the dust collector. Bouncing may be a setting on here. I'm going to stop and go back and check this app to see if there's any settings that I possibly may have incorrect, and we can give that a... Well, one of the things I learned is that the sound pressure app is limited by the abilities of the microphone in your device, and apparently the microphone in that tablet can't go much above 87 decibels. So that's why it maxed out, and what I'll do instead, since I don't have a true sound pressure level meter, is I will just replay clips, short clips of me jointing this board before and after, and you'll just be able to kind of make a judgment, and I'll let you know what my judgment is. Secondly, I want to show you the results. Now, this is rough sawn poplar. To me, here's the rough side. It's really not that rough. I mean, it's got the fuzz on it, but and a bit of saw marks and things like that. But it's not, for rough sawn lumber. I wish all rough sawn lumber was as good as this board is. Here's the board after it's been passed through the joiner 3 or 4 times. I'm not sure how easy it is to see. This is the edge that was hanging off the end of the joiner, so that's why there's a different height on that. It needed a few more passes. You can also see some areas where my knives have damage to them, little chips missing out of the end of the knife, which is kind of what prompted this whole project. I looked at replacement knives, and a good set of replacement carbide knives for this jointer, it was $130, and I could buy the whole helical cutter head for $549, I think. And to me, that was just kind of a thinking about changing out the knives and resetting them and checking and testing, and then to get a nick in the knives a week later again. It just seems like a lot of work and effort for the difference, which I realized was $400 or plus or minus, but to me, just really, really worth it. I did order 10 extra of the helical knives, or whatever they call the helical cutters. I ordered 10 extra, so I think my total order with shipping and all came to $620, somewhere around there. That's with tax and shipping and everything. So more than I spent on this jointer. I bought the jointer used from a gentleman who had it stored in his garage and hadn't used it. He couldn't remember using it ever. I'm not sure why he bought it, but it works great, it runs great, and it's time to give it an upgrade. So I'm going to get it moved out, and we'll begin the disassembly. I'll come back to you in a minute. So we're kind of hoping for a set of directions here. I figured I'll go ahead and take the new cutter head out of the box and see what it comes with, and you can follow along with me. MyWoodcutters.com is raved about by Mr. Stumpy Nubs, who is somebody that I follow very closely and try to learn from. He praises them, and I got to tell you, from the date of order, this thing came very, very quickly. It was in stock, and I have no complaints about their service and shipping. There's the spare cutters. Looks like you need a screwdriver to unbox this thing. You got it packaged very well. Perhaps I should pull these screws offline. I thought I would quickly show you how well this new cutter was packaged. It has wooden blocks in here that were drilled to support the bearings and the shaft of the unit, and then this very heavy-duty cardboard was actually screwed to these blocks to hold everything in place, and then boxed again inside another box. So I'm certain, boy, and it's heavy, I'm certain that this is in excellent shape. Looking at the unit, I'm also hoping that I don't need to take the infeed and outfeed table off to get this thing replaced. I believe I am going to have to remove the support for the fence assembly, and I'm hoping that the whole cutter head will then sort of slip out in this direction. But again, we'll see in a little bit, and I'll come back to you. So good news, the cutter head came out with only removing the fence and the fence guide. So that wasn't too bad, and of course the belts from the pulleys. The blocks that house the bearings came off of the old cutter. Boy, these things are heavy. Came off of the old cutter with some difficulty, but it wasn't terrible. I just used a large flat blade screwdriver and carefully pried back and forth until they came off. I was concerned I might have to get somebody with a bearing press to press them on the new cutter, but they really slid on with almost no effort at all. So there's the new cutter. The bearing blocks are installed, and I'm ready to slide it into the machine. I think I'm going to leave this wrapping on there until I get it in, just in case I bump an edge. I'm going to give it my best shot not to. But this thing is like precious gold to me, so we're going to take really good care of it. Slide it in here. The other good news is that since I didn't have to move either the infeed or the outfeed table, I shouldn't need to do any adjustment. I guess I probably do need to check to make sure the overall diameter and the blade edge diameter is the same. I'm not absolutely confident that it will be exactly the same, so I might need to do some adjustment just relative to that. So something's holding me up here, but I can't tell what. Okay. There it goes. And it's in place. And I think before I tighten it down, I'll get the plastic off, if that's still possible. Woo! It is. Look at that. Beauty. So I'll reinstall the pulley, the shiv for the belts. We'll tighten everything back down, put everything back together, and we'll do our test, our after test, to see how it goes. Okay, so the entire process took roughly 3.5 hours. I had budgeted a whole day, so I feel pretty good about that. I have never done this before. I have minimal experience with this type of thing. I'm really pleased with the way everything turned out. I went through, there's 40 cutter heads, 40 knives, carbide cutters on this head. I went through and I checked all of them for tightness. I found 5, I think, that gave me a tiny little bit of a turn, so they probably would have been okay without it, but you know, you'd probably want to check them all. Just so you can see again, here's our board that was milled with the old straight knives. Now, remember, those knives were probably not all that sharp, and they had damages to them, little nicks and things. So this is just a comparison. I don't know what it's going to turn out like. Here's our other side, which is supposed to be rough sawn, but to be honest, it's not all that rough. Like I said, it's got blade marks on it. It's got some peach fuzz on it, whatever you call that. Wood fibers, loose wood fibers, loose-ish wood fibers. So I'm going to run it through here 3 or 4 times like we did the other one. And do a comparison. And then again, I'll play the clips for a sound comparison of before and after. Here we go. Okay, so it seems like there was a tiny difference in the diameter of the actual blade cutting edge from the old cutter head to the new one, and it could be that maybe those blades weren't set well or they weren't adjusted well. I don't know. It was a tiny, tiny minor adjustment, but I had about 6 thousandths between the blade edge and the outfeed table, so I've adjusted it down. I haven't tried it yet, so again, hopefully this will work. Try and run the board through. These older machines have to be plugged in. There we go. So whenever I used this machine with the old cutter head in there, I always kept it set to like a 32nd of an inch on the cut. I don't know how accurate that depth adjustment thing is, but right now I think we're just not really taking anything off, anything appreciable. I can sit here all afternoon and not get much done. So I'm going to make an adjustment to the infeed, increase the cutting depth a little bit, and we'll come back. Okay, so I've readjusted the infeed table. The depth of cut gauge now says a 1/16 of an inch. It was at a 32nd. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to readjust 0 on that gauge because I do think that the cutter head or the blade diameter is a little bit less on this than it was on the other, so we're just not catching anything. So let's fire it up and we'll try again. Well, I'm having a super lot of trouble pushing the board through the cut, and I have waxed this table recently, but I guess it needs more. But I think we've got enough done to look at the result. The sheen and the finish on this side, it's quite a bit different. I don't know if that's visible or not to you as you look, but just the finished result is much nicer. And again, I need to wax this table, but good project to do if your jointer is older. It's time to replace the blades anyway. I just can't see spending $130 on blades or $550 to get you a whole new cutter head with blades that have 4 sides on them and will last you so much longer. So thanks for tuning in. Any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll put a link to my wood cutters, and see you on the next one.